I remain standing for a moment of silence for any loved ones and the military personnel that died overseas. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Stan is here, Chris is excused, Dean is excused, Big Mike is here, and Ed is here. The minutes are on the back of the agenda. If anyone wants to make any changes or has any questions, come up after the meeting. Correspondence Secretary's report, nothing for this meeting. Officer Paul's going to be mailing out the monthly newsletter either Wednesday or Thursday of this week, so you'll be getting that shortly. Anybody have any questions before we bring up our speaker? Okay, Ed, do you want to introduce the speaker, or are we good?
Hi, gang. We've had this young lady come and do presentations before, and she always brings us some good information. Katrina Schmieder from the Better Business Bureau, Western New York. She will give us a presentation and a little handout for this evening. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? You're fine. Okay, if I'm not talking loud enough, just say something. I'll try to project as best I can. But my name is Katrina Schmieder, and I am the Communications Director for the Better Business Bureau of Upstate New York. I wear many hats at my job, but I always say this is my favorite thing to do. I love being able to get out in the community and tell people how they can protect themselves from scams and fraud. Because as we know, unfortunately, scams are everywhere these days, and they only continue to evolve with technology. So we'll get started with the presentation here. Just a little bit about BBB of Upstate New York. The Better Business Bureau itself was founded in 1912 to fight against false advertising. Back then, it was like the Wild West with companies making all sorts of claims about what their products could do. So a group of business owners actually formed an alliance to try to hold them accountable and make sure that there was truthful advertising out there. We fast forward to 1923, the Better Business Bureau of Upstate New York was established, and we just celebrated our 100th anniversary a few years ago. So I always joke, we've been around for more than 100 years, we must be doing something right. We currently serve 48 counties across Upstate New York and have a network of roughly 7,500 accredited businesses. Our service area is quite large, so it is, if you're picturing a map, pretty much everything except New York City. We have all of Upstate New York, so Buffalo, Rochester, Albany, Syracuse, and everything in between. And when I say we have 7,500 accredited businesses, I mean these are businesses who display the BBB seal. So if a business wants to become accredited, they have to come to us and apply for that. They are then vetted to make sure that they're advertising truthfully, make sure they have the right licensing, etc. And then if it is accepted and they pass through the vetting, then they can say they are a BBB accredited business, and that's where you might recognize, seeing the little torch when you're out doing your shopping or doing business. And BBB.org has a lot of great resources. I always tell people, before you're gonna hire somebody, use us as a resource. It doesn't matter if a business is accredited or not, we have information on them. So you can come to us and see what other people have experienced with a particular company. Again, whether or not they're accredited, you can see how many complaints they've had, how they handle complaints. That's really important. We know issues arise, but it really matters how a business handles a complaint or a problem with a customer. And then you can see reviews that people have left. So I always encourage people to use BBB.org as a resource. And if you don't use a computer, that's fine. You can give us a call, and we'll be happy to check up on somebody for you. All right, so when it comes to scams and fraud, which is the purpose of this presentation, I like to give people some numbers for background. So in 2025, the FTC estimates that consumers lost a combined $12.5 billion to scams and fraud, which is a 25% increase from the previous year. Now, I'm in our scam tracker daily, and I'll get into that a little bit later. This does not surprise me, especially with AI. It's become so much easier for scammers to target victims and a wide number of victims. They're able to send mass text messages, and I'll talk about this later, but we're seeing a lot of these scams come through via text message. And, this next point here says older adults are often targeted, and while that is true, we're seeing that 18 to 24-year-olds are actually losing more money to scams and fraud than those who are 65 and older. It's still, the numbers are very close, but anybody can be vulnerable these days, and I want people to remember that and keep that in mind, especially because a lot of the tactics that scammers using are adapting to technology. They know many people have a cell phone, so they're sending text messages and getting you to click on suspicious links and offer up your personal or payment information. Knowledge is prevention, so knowing the tactics that scammers use and the top scams targeting you will help you protect yourselves from losing money. So unfortunately, the system hasn't updated our data yet for 2025, so I still have 2024's numbers, but I will say anecdotally, things look pretty similar. So this here shows you what types of scams are targeting different age groups. We've actually seen an increase in investment scams in recent years, and it usually starts with an online relationship. So I'm not talking just online dating or romance scams, which they certainly tie in, but sometimes somebody might try to befriend you on social media, and once they gain your trust, they'll start asking for money, or they'll share a surefire investment opportunity. And the reason that this is considered one of the riskiest scams is because of the dollar amount that is attached to it. When I'm reviewing investment scams, people have lost more than $50,000. So usually people end up being out quite a bit of money if they get wrapped up in an investment scam. The other one we're seeing a lot of are employment scams. These surged really after the COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of people, a lot of young adults in particular, are searching for work from home opportunities, and scammers know that and know how to take advantage of that. So, they might reach out with an employment opportunity, and one tactic we're seeing is they will offer to send you money to set up your work from home system, so computer, office supplies, all of that. And what they're doing is they're sending you a bad check, and then telling you to send the funds through a different electronic transfer to another account. And particularly with younger people, they might not be familiar with how checks work. By the time they realize it was a bad check, the money's gone and out of the account. So that's something that we've been seeing a lot more of in the past couple of years. One I always like to talk about as well is home improvement scams. Around here, hopefully, I would think I wouldn't be using snowplow contractors as an example right now, but as you can see by the lovely weather outside, we're still dealing with that. But if you're looking at hiring somebody to do work inside your home, thinking about spring projects, landscaping, you want to make sure that you're hiring somebody you can trust. We often hear from people after the fact who say, I hired company ABC or XYZ, and I wish I would have checked with the Better Business Bureau first. Unfortunately, there are a lot of scammers out there. There are also a lot of great companies, but unfortunately there are people that are willing to rip you off. And we see this a lot with paving companies too. So during the summer, somebody might show up at your door and say, oh, I was just paving someone's driveway down the street. I've got some leftover mix. I'll take care of your driveway for a really cheap price. And then sometimes people hand the money over, and that person either puts a Band-Aid on it, does a terrible job, or just takes the money and runs. And unfortunately, this has become a problem where they'll move around from city to city or town to town or state to state. So unfortunately, it's been very difficult for law enforcement to catch a lot of these people. So one thing I always try to tell people is to ignore unsolicited offers. If somebody comes to your door and says, hey, I noticed you've got roof damage, or I can do this job for you really cheap, say, I'd be happy to take your information, but I'd like to do a little homework before I hire somebody. So I always recommend that people do their research before they hire someone, especially for those expensive home improvement projects. And always get a contract and know what's in that contract before you sign it. It's so much harder for us to help if somebody comes to us and says, well, it was a handshake agreement, I didn't have anything in writing. So you really just want to make sure that you go over the contract, go over a payment plan, and know what is in it before moving forward. All right, so I also like to go over this. The top 5 most impersonated organizations in 2024, according to BBB data. Number 1, Publishers Clearinghouse. Number 2, the United States Postal Service. And I wouldn't be surprised if that moves to the top of the list in 2025. I know I myself have been getting a lot of text messages claiming to be from the post office, saying that there's an issue with a package I've ordered, and really that is a phishing scam. It's just an attempt to get you to click on a link and enter your personal or payment information. And the United States Postal Service isn't going to text you and ask you for bank account information or personal information. PayPal, Amazon, and Spectrum. We do see Amazon a lot, especially with online purchase scams. And a common tactic scammers will use is, you might think you're on Amazon.com, but the letter will be slightly off, or they'll put like a 0 instead of an O. So at first glance, you might not realize it. But now with AI, it's so easy for anybody to recreate a logo or steal a logo and try to pass it off as their own. So, it's just really important to make sure that you take an extra look. Look at what the sender's address is. I'll get emails that claim to be from PayPal. Fun fact about PayPal, they will always address you by your full name. So if it says Dear PayPal user or something generic, that's a scam. But sometimes I'll get an email from somebody claiming to be from PayPal, and it says johnsmith@gmail.com. Well, I know that person obviously isn't with the company. So if you're ever really unsure, I always say reach out to a business or company directly and through a legitimate phone number, not one that they have provided you with. And phishing scams are on the rise, and this is important to talk about because we have been seeing so many of these in the past few years. And again, it's because scammers are turning to text message to target people. Just last year, and I use this as an example, I probably received more than a dozen text messages claiming to be from EasyPass or the toll authority. I spoke with a woman who clicked on one of these links thinking she only owed a couple of dollars for a toll, and by giving the scammer access to her bank account, she lost more than $1,000. And she and I had a conversation. She's somebody who was living paycheck to paycheck, and it was really devastating, understandably. And again, this is how they trick people, because you see an amount like $3.49, you might think, oh, no problem, that's only a little bit, I just want to take care of it. But really, they've been able to extract a lot of money from people of all ages through this one. And that one has quieted down a little bit, but I've noticed it's kind of trending toward, I'm getting text messages claiming to be from the DMV now, saying that I have an unpaid traffic ticket, and if I don't take care of it right away, they're going to suspend my license and registration. So they use all that language to try to scare you and trick you into giving in to demands. So if you ever receive any text messages like this, block and delete them. Do not engage. And by a show of hands, I always ask, anybody here do online shopping? Okay, yeah, I'm very guilty of it myself. But online purchase scams I have to talk about because they are the #1 scam reported to our BBB by a long shot. Typically people aren't losing huge sums of money at once, but we receive thousands of reports of online purchase scams each year. So it's just a good reminder to be careful when you're shopping online. Make sure you're looking closely at that URL. You want to see HTTPS in your browser and a little lock symbol, that tells you you're on a secure website. And then again, just look closely at the images. I'm seeing a lot of websites come through our scam tracker that have obviously been created with AI, but because I'm looking closely at that, I saw one about a month ago that claimed to be Wayfair, the furniture site. And if you looked closely at the people in the ad, some of the features weren't quite human-like, like their arms were really long, or they might have like an extra eye or an ear or something like that. But it just goes to show, like, you have to look closely, because otherwise the logos looked right. Again, with technology now, it's just so easy for anybody to create a fake website and pass it off as their own. And I'm not trying to give you any ideas here, but it is unfortunately very simple now. So we are seeing lots of online purchase scams. And if you do shop online, one of the best pieces of advice I can give you is to always pay by credit card if you can. Because if you do encounter a scam, it's going to be so much easier to financially recover if you're using a credit card versus a bank card, because credit card companies have policies in place to protect you from scams and fraud. So if you're making any big purchases, I always say, if you can, use that credit card. And then, you know, if you're trying to do a transaction with somebody and they're asking for payment through peer-to-peer payment apps like Venmo or Cash App, make sure it's somebody you know. You should never use those apps when you're communicating with strangers. All right. Beware of phone fraud. Scammers frequently target by phone. You know, a good one to mention this time of year is, you know, calls from the IRS. Tax season is here, so I like to remind everyone the IRS isn't going to call you by the phone. They'll first reach out by mail. But if you receive any suspicious phone calls, it's important not to engage, block the number, and report it. Another one that, you know, we always hear about at BBB, and, you know, I feel like when I go out and present, somebody always comes to me and tells me that they have been a victim of, or know somebody who's been a victim of, the grandparent scam. Are we familiar with that? Where somebody might call you and say, you know, this is your son and I'm in jail and I need you to send money right away. And now with AI, unfortunately, they're able to take voice recordings and make them sound like they are somebody you might know and trust. So I like to remind everybody of that one. That one has gone around for a long time, and I continue to hear about it. I try to tell families, come up with a password or a safe word. You know, so if you do get that phone call, tell your loved ones, okay, if you really are in trouble, you know, make sure you can answer these questions. But if you get a call like that, it's important not to panic, because it is most likely a scam. Do not engage with them, and then try to get in touch with a loved one directly, or somebody who is close to that person, to verify if they're actually in an emergency situation, instead of engaging with the caller. In many cases, they'll ask for things like gift cards, and you never want to use a gift card as a form of payment. If somebody is asking for payment via gift card, other than what it was intended for, you never want to do that. They'll say, oh, just, you know, give me the codes on the back. Once you give that information up, it is gone, it is untraceable, and it's very hard to recover. All right, so just some generic red flags to look out for. You know, I think I've touched on these, but free, low cost, or buy one, get one deal. We've heard the saying before, but if something sounds too good to be true, that means it probably is. Requests for unusual payment types, so prepaid debit cards, wired funds, gift cards, claims that you only pay postage or administrative fees, pressure to act now, and or aggressive tones. This is unfortunately how scammers get away with what they do. They are very good at scaring people into sending money or thinking there's an emergency situation before you really have time to think about it. So it's important to just kind of slow down, think before you act. Deals that must be secured with a credit card or bank account information, and like I mentioned earlier, surefire investment opportunities, because we are hearing about more investment scams. And then here's just a couple of more examples. Again, because these phishing scams are on the rise, I just want to make sure that I'm sharing examples with people, and telling you what to look out for. Like some of this language here, the USPS team wishes you a wonderful day. Clearly that didn't actually come from the post office. And then the number there, a lot of times it'll be like a text message from an international number or a random Gmail account. I get those a lot. So just make sure you're looking closely at these things if you get a text like that. But important not to reply or click on anything. And then this is the toll text message that, by show of hands, has anyone received this? Okay, a couple people have. I do know these are still going around, not as frequently as they were a couple of years ago, or a year ago. I hope people have caught on, but just a reminder to be on the lookout for these types of messages. And then here's another example, voicemail to text. IRS is filing a lawsuit against you. An arrest warrant has been issued under your name to get more information about this case file from federal database. Obviously that's not legitimate, but they say things like, we're going to arrest you, so they're trying to scare you into acting quickly. Okay, and then just some BBB resources that I want to go over. I mentioned this at the beginning, but it's BBB.org is a great resource for doing any research on businesses or companies you might be looking to hire. We have thousands of business profiles on BBB.org. Again, whether or not a business is accredited, we still have information on them. Call us. Like I said, I know not everybody uses a computer, and that's okay. You can call us toll free to ask questions before hiring a company, or if you need assistance filing a complaint. We can't take complaints over the phone, but we'd be more than happy to mail you a complaint form should you need one. And then use BBB scam trackers. So any of the data that I've referenced today or any of the particular scams are reported to us through Scam Tracker. And I always tell people, even if you didn't lose money to a scam, please share it with us, because that's how I collect this information to then warn the public that something is happening or going around. From 2024 to 2025, reports to our Scam Tracker doubled. So, it's concerning to know that there are this many scams out there, but I'm also encouraged that people are sharing it with us, because by sharing your experience, you can help prevent it from happening to somebody else, and we will never share your personal information or attach it to you. But again, if you have any questions at all about how to use any of these things, I have business cards, and my phone number should be on this last slide here. So with that, I'll just make sure I hand these out. I don't know if you've ever seen these before, but they're little RFID sleeves that protect your card and driver's license from being scammed electronically. Now somebody can just steal your information from across the room or bump into you at the store. So you need one per card, so per card or license. I have a whole box here, so please take as many as you want. And if you're ever interested in more, just give us a call and we'd be happy to stick some in the mail for you. But again, I will leave some business cards as well. And then, did anybody have any questions or anything you wanted to share? Yeah.
What steps and procedure you have from, say, we'll take a snowplow driver. He's on he has a good rating with you. All of a sudden, his rating starts to drop. When do you actually drop him off?
I'm not sure what the exact protocol is, but if they have multiple complaints, especially ones that are unanswered, then their accreditation will be revoked. And then it goes through an ethics and standards hearing, and a decision is made from there. But yeah, we do, we do expel businesses pretty frequently. It happens, so.
Especially for roofers and stuff like that.
Yeah, all sorts of businesses.
Sure.
Yeah.
When you mentioned spectrum, I get one every other day telling me that my account is fixed too. My account isn't even due to April. delete it, but what I noticed is they use different numbers.
Well, I know, and I try not to promote. Have you guys heard of the Do Not Call registry?
Yes.
So that only protects you against legal telemarketing calls. Well, obviously scammers ignore the law. They don't care. So people might get a false sense of security under the Do Not Call list. That doesn't mean you're not going to get phone calls. I myself receive tons of them. I'm constantly blocking, deleting, but you block one number, you hear from another one the next day. Yes. So, that's why I say, unfortunately, it's on us to protect ourselves because they're going to find a way to get in touch with us. But again, it's important to still block the calls as they come in, and try not to engage too. I know it's tempting to pick up the phone and maybe mess with them a little bit, but all that does is tell them that it's a live number and there's someone attached to it. So somebody else can get a hold of it and they're just going to keep calling. So. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was asking, can you only lodge complaints against accredited businesses that are?
Yep.
If a business isn't an accredited business and you put a complaint in, what, is there a process or there's nothing?
Yep, it's the same process whether a business is accredited or not. So we'll follow the same procedures to reach out, and then a company has so many days to respond. Usually with complaints, the whole ordeal is typically finished within 30 days, but the process is the same whether or not a business is accredited with us or not. Anything else? Oh, over there. Yes.
Sorry, not a question.
Sure.
So, a number of years ago, I was looking to get a new roof, and I did my research. I get 5 estimates, all referred of friends who used these roofs. 5 roofers. One guy gets 17 complaints. Needless to say, I did not.
Good. Yeah. Well, that's why I tell people to check. Too often, people are like, "Oh man, wish I would have looked at BBB.org first," and that's what we're here for. We're trying to help. We want to make the marketplace better. So I'm glad you didn't end up hiring that.
Yes, there was like 17 complaints. Most of the complaints were all the same thing too, with the roof leaking in a particular spot.
Yeah. Well, when there's a pattern there too, that's especially concerning. All right. Well, thank you very much for having me. I will leave these with Ed here. Again, take as many as you would like, and I'll leave some business cards too. If you know of any other organizations that are interested in a presentation, I travel just about anywhere to do it, as long as it's in upstate New York. I've also started doing student scam and fraud prevention programs. If you know any school teachers, because we're getting that data that says 18 to 24-year-olds are losing more money to scams, I developed a program to get into schools and kind of show them what scams might be targeting them, and we keep it interactive and give out prizes to hold their attention. So, yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, everybody want to turn around and we'll finish the meeting? I feel free to keep moving forward. Old business, anybody want to bring anything up from last month or any questions? New business, we have Supervisor Nowak here and Council Member Monica Elderkin. I'm going to ask them to come up and just give us a State of the Union address. Just so you're aware, we're a politically neutral organization, okay? We don't sponsor any political groups, but we do ask currently sitting public officials to come up so that you have the opportunity to ask some questions, okay? So, Supervisor, you want to come on up?
I'm going to try to plug in my laptop.
Okay. We have a presentation, and then we'll ask Monica to come up then. Unless you want to have Monica. Why don't we have Monica come up and while Brian is putting together the presentation. How does that sound? Thank you. Nice job. All yours.
Hello, nice to see everyone. Just real quick, I was appreciative of the presentation last month at this meeting regarding the red light no turn on red light. The subject came up again the following day at the Town Park Community Association meeting, and it also came up at the William Street taxpayer meeting the same month. One thing I've done is I've reached out to Officer Nazareth, and I know he's talked to Chief Coons. We're trying to come up with an educational program, possibly sponsored by Cheektowaga Watch, but funded through some private donations, of some signage that we are allowed to put up. We cannot put up the signs that we want on the red lights that say no turn on red arrow. The state says that's a redundant sign because the symbol already means no turn on red. Now, I'm in favor of Department of Redundancy Department. It's okay to tell people things twice for issues like this that have come up. So what we can do is we can work on some educational materials, some lawn signs, some spots in the Cheektowaga, maybe the Buffalo News. It also came up that there are more laws that we should advertise, such as when the lights are down with power out, four-way stop. Obviously, the stop for buses is always something we want to stress. But if there's any other traffic laws, if we're promoting good traffic laws, please send them my way so I'm trying to put together at least a spot for the bee right away. And just social media, I know the police have done that several times on their Facebook page. The town can do more. And also, we're just trying to lobby the state to say, we want these signs up on the actual lights where you can see them, where people behind you can see them, where people on the left turn lane, where the left side of the turn right can see. But just trying to do what we can. Any questions on that or anything else? Yes, Steve?
Yeah, you hear me complain about that all the time. Redundancy is, you're correct. And everybody chooses the one intersection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what you said is exactly true. If you're in the left-hand lane, you can't see the standard sign there. But if you come out to 33 on, I believe it is Union Road, there's signs that say no turn on red.
And what the state has said is that if there are old signs, that two wrongs don't make a right.
You know, if you know what, you want something for this meeting, find that person that came up with this redundancy of signage and bring them to the meeting.
Okay, I'm continuing. I know a lot of people
You know
are
what,
reaching out to
is
DOT.
coming up too.
I'm sorry.
If anybody ever noticed, now you don't always get a renewal on your registration.
It's
You
email
have
out.
to remember and go and get it yourself.
I did notice it's by email. I caught that myself. When I
Email
was,
out now.
Yeah, I get them for inspections, but only on my trailers.
Okay. We have a question over here?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking, because I realized when I was at that intersection, how many people just blow through it like it's green. I was thinking, I want to come back there with a sign myself for 5-10 minutes every day just to make sure people see it.
So, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just thinking, maybe we can sponsor McDonald's to put something up on their sign too.
All kidding aside, it's not just that intersection. It's
The town board makes new companies put up signage all the time. There's no reason why they can't do it, and I bring it up all the time too, that you're on different roads. You got the Vern Lane and Union and Como. It's the state, the county, and the town.
Right, I understand this specific road. The state is telling us what signs can be on the state road. Yeah, question here?
Yeah, in North Tonawanda, so many people would go through the yield sign off of Division and Twin City Highway that we actually put up light up stop signs by the yield sign so people know to stop. So is there any way to get the no turn on red signs with pretty little lights that go all the way around the sign,
State
kind of?
Department.
Yeah, we're still trying to
DOT,
lobby
state
the
DOT.
Yeah. But it was nice to see, and
Yeah.
it draws attention, and there's been a lot less accidents because of it.
Yes, Monica, on William Street, going into the city, on Vern and also on Raymond, there are two signs on the side of the road. State law, do not block intersections.
Yep.
Does not happen. They block it anyway.
Okay. Yep.
Maybe you can bring it up to them and disprove the redundancy. The fact is, I've been going north on Union, turning onto William, and there is a sign. And never do I hear beeping. However, when I'm coming down William, turning right onto the Union, you hear people beeping all the time. So the sign obviously works.
Yeah, it does. Okay. Any other topics, questions? Oh, one more?
No,
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay, Supervisor, you're up.
All right, can everybody hear me? The traffic discussion reminded me of a story I read in the news a few years back. In Venezuela many years ago, they had traffic issues and they used, I don't know if the government used it, but a group of pantomime performers, clowns essentially, went into the street, and if they saw somebody run a red light or speeding or something like that, they would point at them and do this and those kind of things. And they showed that the clowns that were involved at these intersections actually improved traffic safety. So I'm not saying that's a solution to have people doing pantomime at the corners, but it has worked in other places. So here's what I've got for everybody here this evening. At the end of January, the Cheektowaga Chamber of Commerce was kind enough to invite me to deliver a State of the Town address. I have the slideshow for everybody. I'm glad I'm able to use my Plan A tonight, and the projector is here. I was planning to go off to one of these. So it's going to be this is going to be an improved presentation compared to what I thought it was going to be. I just want to give you guys a heads up. This was planned for a 30 to 45 minute presentation that I put together. So I'm going to go through some of these slides really quick. If you're reading something and I go right to the next one, do not let your heart be troubled. It was designed for us to be here until about 8:15 before question and answer. So this here is probably my favorite Venn diagram right now. And it's the challenge that our town board or anybody on a school board or a fire district or managing government budgets has right now. And it's balancing people that want stable services and low taxes, along with people that don't want density in their community, and they don't want service cuts. And in this middle here, the world where taxes are low, you don't have high density, and you have great stable services. In the middle it says it does not exist. So that's the town board's job at any given time, to balance growing the tax base in a way that we all find acceptable. We don't want 10-story buildings next to our homes. We want stable services, and we don't want our taxes going up 20% year over year. So a lot of what I have gets into what the town has done historically, what our job is, along with some of the things we have accomplished in 2025. So just a quick overview, and looking around in this room, you guys are very familiar with the services our town provides, but just a quick overview and a reminder. We have a police department with 130 sworn officers. That should say 123. We are short a little bit right now. That will include our 3 SROs. We have more than 24 dispatchers in addition. We've got dog control, an emergency management office, and various services that are provided to our town clerk. Our highway department maintains nearly 200 miles of road. Sanitation, we have 40 employees for our sanitation department. We run that ourselves. We don't hire Modern or Waste Management. That's on the taxpayers directly. We've got a sewer district with 200 miles of sewer. We service over 26,000 properties. Our Parks Department, senior and youth programming, our own building department that takes care of tens of thousands of residents. So some points on the 2025 year in review. Through our grant funding, the town's implemented new software to increase efficiency in patrolling every street in town. This is related to our police department. We've improved coverage of streets, and it's allowed us to document and improve patrolling in all different neighborhoods in town. We've got a new emergency driving program in town that's improving officer road safety. Here's some good news. Vehicle thefts are down 32% year over year. Yes, 232 is still a lot, but in 2024 it was even more than that. The trend is starting to go in the right direction, With the TikTok trends and things that have happened since 2020, we had a real problem with vehicle thefts, but that's getting better. Violent crime is also down. Down 17% in 2025 versus 2024. Some of the accomplishments with senior services. Our former director, Carrie Peak, she retired last year. Dawn Belair has taken over and is doing a wonderful job for the center so far. We've got new programming, and it may sound small, but it's important to bring people out of their homes and to give them a chance to meet people like this, face-to-face in real settings. There's too much going on with the phones and social media and people being alone in their houses, so this building and bringing people out is a great thing. The transportation services have expanded. We've got the summer concerts. We've got more opportunities inside of the senior center, including a program called Good Grief, which is twice a month mediated counseling. Guest speakers are brought in, and the idea is to help people with coping strategies. It's geared towards folks that live alone. For Parks and Rec, we had all 3 of our town pools open to the public last year, including our Dingens pool that was down for a few years. The younger folks and people of all ages really are using these pool facilities more and more. We're offering aquatics programs along with the school districts. Summer Day Camp has served over 1,600 participants, and there's a waiting list for our Week 3 program. I'm sure a lot of you have been aware that there's been a growing demand for paid childcare. If we didn't have grandmas in the world, people like me wouldn't be able to go to work every day, but there's more help needed besides family taking care of children and grandchildren. So that way, younger folks in the workforce can get to work and all that. So the Week 3 program is at full capacity with a waiting list. Some other accomplishments. This is the Getting Back to Basics deal. The town of Cheektowaga purchased the street lights directly from the electric companies. The conversion with NYSEG was completed previously. And if you're a National Grid customer, that conversion was completed in 2025. And the town's beginning to realize dollar savings on the energy consumption side. However, we had to take out some loans to buy these lights. So right now, we're not seeing those costs, we're not seeing the cost savings directly. It's gonna take a few years. But once the bonds we took out are paid off, we're gonna realize some real savings. Over the years, the town has given about, for our street lighting district, which cost us about $3 million a year, 80% of that, 80 cents of every dollar, was just going to the electric companies in the form of rent of the poles of that infrastructure. Because the town bought it, we don't pay them that rent anymore. But we have to pay back the loan we took for a few years. Once that loan's paid back, all we're paying for is energy consumption. And when you project out the next 15, 20 years, in the long term, we're going to realize some real savings. And we're on the path towards that now. There's mentions of improvements to our Kelly Park and planned improvements for Winston Gola. And then we have an adult fitness program that's seen an increase in participation last year over 2024. This is some information on improvements in the highway and sewer departments. The one big thing I wanted to point out is that in 2025 and 2024, our road paving and resurfacing program was significantly scaled back because of the lack of funding from the town board. So if you live in an area of town or on a street that has seen more potholes or had certain issues, help is on the way for that. But outside of the complete street rebuilt for Pleasant Parkway and a few other isolated examples, we weren't able to get a lot done in terms of road improvements and resurfacing in 2024 or 2025 because the town board just didn't approve the funding necessary to get that done. Some 2026 goals and priorities is to get our infrastructure work back on track. As I just mentioned, we're kind of behind the 8 ball on road repaving and road improvements. The town board has approved funding to support sewer improvements, both on the storm sewer side and the sanitary sewer side. And we have operating funds in our highway budget to do road repaving and get back on track to the kind of program for road improvements that we did several years back. We're planning sanitary sewer improvements, looking for renewable energy opportunities. It's not the answer to making energy more affordable or more stable for our community, but when there's opportunities to add solar to the town's portfolio, so to speak, of infrastructure, it's an opportunity that will cost us a little bit up front, but help us generate energy in the long run. And I understand some of the skepticism that, you know, we've got cloudy days. Obviously, it's cold out there today. When I did this presentation in January, it was cold and snowy just the same. But the energy that you can generate from these solar facilities just in a few summer months can power a building for an entire year if you've got enough roof space. It's just the power you can generate in a good sunny day can give you multiple days worth of energy in a particular facility. We're working on improvements to dog control. There was a change to state laws. So the town of Cheektowaga received a grant of $500,000, and we're going to improve our dog control facility to comply with the law and to help our dog control officer provide a better service there. We're applying for a grant to improve Nokomis Park through New York Plays. Hoping that works out for us, and if it does, we're going to be able to transfer a football field over here. We're going to have an additional field for soccer or other sports. We're looking for continuing redevelopment and opportunities related to that. And the work on our town pools. We have a grant for over $2 million through New York Swims to improve our town park pool. That was built over 4 decades ago. We've got to improve the filter, safety, other areas related to that. So a lot of this stuff here that's on this list is related to grant funding we've received through Erie County or New York State. And I mentioned a couple of those already. I want to mention another one that is a big deal. This is nearly $10 million from the Department of Environmental Conservation. In my time as supervisor, you've probably heard me, if you've seen me at another meeting, talking about issues with our sanitary sewers and our DEC consent order. And it costs a lot of money to carry that out and do what the DEC is asking of us. We've got an aging sewer system with significant overflows, leaks, and other inflow issues identified. It's going to cost the town millions and millions of dollars to fix all of these things. But I know Monica doesn't want to, and I don't want to. We don't want to keep coming to you saying, we got to raise your taxes to pay for sewers. We got to raise your taxes to pay for sewers. We're fortunate enough to get a grant through DEC, nearly $10 million, to help fix our sanitary sewers. It's what we call WQIP 5 within the town, because it's the 5th water quality improvement grant the town of Cheektowaga has received. And it's also the largest one the town of Cheektowaga has received to date. With this $10 million paired with a little bit of grant funding, we actually improved sewer bonding around 5:30 p.m. at our special board meeting tonight. Pairing town money up with significant money from the state is going to help us move forward on this sanitary sewer work. And once we get this completed and we get on the other side of the DEC consent order, we're going to be able to maintain that system. We're not going to have to worry about inflow and infiltration issues for decades to come. We just have to maintain our system. This is a little bit on some redevelopment and new businesses coming into town. That building there, I'm sure most of you recognize it as the old Manor Nursing Home. It's gone, and currently there is foundation board for a Tunnel to Towers project for a Veterans Village. They're hoping to have that done by the end of this year, and they're well on their way to getting that done right now. A couple things I wanted to point out besides that is the town's working with UB Department of Planning and Architecture. I had an opportunity to sit in with students, and there's a class of about 15 to 20 students that are doing research related to the town on the planning, zoning, development side of things. And I'm looking forward to what they have to present at the end of their semester, because they may have some ideas that the town board can take advantage of to make things better for the community. In terms of redevelopment, dollar value, all the permits taken out last year was around $57 million. 38 and change of that was just for commercial business permits. So we may not see stories on the news all the time about all the great things happening in town, but seeing that dollar value and seeing how much that's related to commercial, we are seeing redevelopment continuing here in town. A big thing that I mentioned to people when I was running for supervisor is the town just has to get back to basics. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that right here. I mentioned the road situation and storm sewers. We've got aging facilities too, our buildings from the ground up, like our main pump station in our sanitary sewer system. It was built around 1980. It's 45 years old. Imagine having a car on the road for 45 years, or buying a house built in 1980 where work was never done on that. So the town is looking for opportunities through the state and the federal government to get funding in to help work on those facilities. Senator April Baskin has secured $250,000 to help us get started working on some of our buildings in town that have not gotten the attention they've needed over the past few years. I mentioned our rails and trails, our nature trails. We've got other planned improvements to maintain and even improve those facilities, and continuing to offer things like the Polish Festival, concerts, and other recreational activities for folks. I think it's important for the town, especially at a time like this, to get people out in person, whether it's meetings like this, whether it's the activities at the senior center, out to our pools, just anywhere in front of people in real life again, where they're not living on these things or just watching the television and the news all the time. That stuff really pays dividends. And the services that the town provides are a very small part of our total budget. I understand that things are tight for a lot of people right now, but offering these kind of programs and opportunities and services, especially for younger people, helps build good habits and helps us build good citizens later on. I mentioned affordability and budget challenges. The town of Cheektowaga is basically built out, and the last time we had a major housing development, we go back to the late 1990s. So now when we're talking about housing issues or development, the town of Cheektowaga is in a redevelopment stage. So you can see on the slide a mention of 22 new two-family home permits. It's not a lot, but it's not like we're in a situation with some of these other towns like Hamburg or Amherst where they have a lot of open land. We have had recently apartment buildings put up with significant new housing units, not quite the same thing as a single family. We talked a little about solar renewables there, but the big thing the town board has to consider is balancing tax affordability and maintaining our quality town services. And I'm going to skip that one and go right to our closing. And this is thanking the Chamber of Commerce and looking forward to working with them. But that's basically my closeout slide. And with that, we're about, what, 5 to 8? Stan, do we have time for questions?
Yeah.
All right. Open it up to questions, comments, concerns.
Where's that lithium building going to go, the manufacturing I'm imagining, and how far along is that?
We've got, if you're talking about Natrion, that was in the last slide. Yeah, I could stick on this for just a second here. Over on Ludwig, not too far away from us. They've got a property, I believe it's 555 Ludwig. They're doing lithium battery development and production. So the big idea with this is we're talking about renewable energy, the expansion of solar, wind, but even battery storage itself, that if you're going to lean more into electrification, which is the market is going to call for that, because you have more electric cars on the road, especially Tesla. Regardless of what the government does, people are going to buy these things, so the grid is going to have to support that, just in electric vehicles alone. But the facility is going to be over on Ludwig. They're going to do some lithium battery production. They're going to be doing some development there. But this is something that I think the town has to lean into, because you take a look at your gas bills this year over last March. The rate was up over 80%. And that's just in the supply part. Natural gas is good when you have an emergency, and it's pretty cheap majority of the time. The price is volatile, you know. I think this is just the beginning of what Western New York is going to see in terms of battery production. That there's, when you get into the electrification space or renewable energy or just electric demand or energy demand, the first person that can develop a very efficient battery is going to make a lot of money. I don't know how much people know about it, battery technology, but solid state batteries in particular are something that's relatively safe. You can do it, and if you can get that up to scale, you can store a lot of energy, and whoever figures that out is going to get very rich. But I kind of answers your question.
And that's kind of the goal. It's going to happen.
Yes, they've got. Yeah, it's. They may have to approach us for a site plan, but I believe they have everything else they need to go ahead and build. Dave?
Brian, in the beginning, I think your thing said violent crime has been reduced below 17%. Is that before or after it's been reduced? Let's say from a felony to a misdemeanor.
The stats say violent crime is down 17% in 25 compared to 24. So then it gets you to the question, like,
why don't the town, and I've asked this numerous times, why can't you figure out, or somebody figure out, why can't we collect the fines that the judicial system in the town puts forward? There's millions of dollars out there that they could collect. So if you gave 25%, that would be 50 grand. No, you've, what, 500,000? If you gave, and it was $2 million, and you gave 25%, you know, the town would pick up the other 75%. Isn't that something maybe somebody should look at?
I've had discussion with the judges on it. One of the ideas that came up was potentially do a night court, but then you get into the cost with having the clerks in and having the court officers for the metal detectors and stuff like that for the amount of people that you have come in for an evening.
You don't have to have night court. I mean, come on.
Yeah. But even.
I mean, you're looking at millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You people are talking about $9 grand for the Polish festival, and this side of the house is talking a couple million.
And that gets the changes in the law a few years back. It's made it a little harder to collect it. It's made it harder to collect fines.
Well, maybe somebody ought to get the ball rolling around here.
I'm happy to talk to the judge again to see if things have been done differently in any other towns, any new ideas we can get, but I'll take it back.
What are other towns doing that they're collecting the money? Most likely. Has anybody looked into it? Has anybody made a phone call and twice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and asked?
I would imagine every other town in Erie County and Western New York is having the same issue Cheektowaga has when it comes to fine collection. Any other questions?
One more, Brian.
Yeah, we'll go to Ken and come back. Yeah.
Okay. Did you mention something about a business park and that the businesses wouldn't pay taxes? Or did I miss something?
No, I didn't at any point, no.
Oh, okay.
So, appreciate the clarification.
Hey.
Real quick on what's happening with the Polish villa on Harlem that was supposed to be some kind of a development at some point.
Okay. The question was about the Polish villa. The Polish villa is wrapped up in a couple different parcels for a housing proposal. It's the address this is being based off is 1111 Harlem Road. The idea is to put in somewhere around 73 apartments, and on the first floor there'll be some commercial space. That project is still a go. The developer's working on getting the pilot together. They've got a contractor retained, so they've just got to break ground. That project is tied up within some state funding as well through Restore New York. So the combination of the pilot, the Restore New York funding, and some other things have slowed that down. On the flip side of that, you have Tunnel to Towers. Not to say one's good and one's bad, it's just Tunnel to Towers, they've got all the money in pocket. So they're able to just hit the ground running. They don't need to wait for New York State to do anything. They don't need a pilot through Erie County. They don't have to wait for the town to work out details with them. We give them the site plan approval, whatever else they need, and they just get at it. Okay, so that's what's going on.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
Okay, any more questions? We're fortunate that the supervisor shows up every month in our meetings, so I'm sure if you have any questions when you leave here, say them. So thank you, Supervisor. Moving along, we have Bob Brandon from Congressman Kennedy's office. Is there, raise your hand. He left? Okay. Concerns of the police department? Bring your neighbors. Oh, I forgot to ask, who, do we have any new first timers here? Raise your hand. Okay, you should do that at the beginning. Lock your houses, vehicles. Anybody else want to bring anything up before we do the 50-50? Yes, Ed.
After the most of the winter is gone now, thank God. I took a lead from the town of Alma. They use their scout troop to help dig out fire hydrants. That is a pet peeve of mine and probably the fire service as well. The general rule is 3 feet around any fire hydrant because people clear from the sidewalk to the fire hydrant, but that doesn't do any good because the fire department's coming in from the street side. So 3 feet around, all the way around, is the ideal scenario. Alma uses their scout troop and they did it because they posted it on their Facebook page. That the last big snow that we had, the scouts were out there and I think they did something like 60 fire hydrants in their small town. I'm currently trying to reach out to the 2 troops that we have in town to see if their scoutmasters, their leadership are interested in doing anything like that because scouts can get community service points for doing different activities. So this should not be out of the realm of possibility for them to get points. So that's something I'm going to be following up. Hopefully that the weather is getting better soon. And I'll come back when I have something. But it's something, you know, they can do. Kids with the same thing. You know, years ago, kids used to make a couple bucks shoveling the sidewalk. Totally different now, but who knows? Maybe we'll stumble on something. Okay.
Thank you, Ed. No, that's fine. Any other questions? I've often felt that the Erie County Holding Center has unlimited resources. Anyway, any other questions?